5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're now live. Hello, good evening, Andy. How you doing?
I'm good, Carlos. How are you?
Good. It feels like about 6 hours ago I was talking to you live in person. This is like we're in some kind of simulation here at the moment.
You were, mate. You were. Okay. Hi, TheoCons. Welcome to the Theory of Conspiracy. It's Sunday, the 16th of August. If you haven't tuned in before, I'm Andy, and this is Carlos.
Hello, everyone.
Together with our mutual friend Nick, we host an audio fortnightly podcast. This is our spin-off live stream show where any reasonable and friendly discussion is welcome. And if anyone in the chat room wants to chip in with any opinions or views, you're more than welcome to. The audio version of this also might get published onto the podcast feed. You never know. If you are listening to this on the audio feed and you want to have a look at any of the visuals, then please check out the links in the show notes or the bio on any of our social media platforms. It's at TheoConPod. Cool. So, yeah, as usual, Sundays are for chilling. So I think we've got a few light-hearted subjects and topics this time round. Carlos, do you want to go first, or should I go first?
I'll go first on this one.
Okay.
I usually try and make it like sort of it's Sunday, let's chill out, not fry people's brains and stuff like that. So I was going through my historical timeline, things of what I've spoken about this time last year, or tomorrow, or the day before, over the last 2-3 years. And one thing I found came up on my timeline. Oh, that was interesting. I spoke about the anniversary of the death of Elvis Presley. He died this time last year, 3:30. I think he died. He was found stumped on the toilet, I think by his fiancée. But there was loads of conspiracies why he died. 'Cause I think he died. I know he was heavily overweight, probably not eating healthy, drinking heavily, probably substance abuse. But there was a lot of rumors flying around that he had the ear of many presidents. A lot of presidents wanted to be surrounded by him, and he sort of like had a lot of inside information what was happening within governments, foreign policies, and things like that. And obviously, the conspiracy theorists have said that that's one of the reasons why he was taken out, and the heart attack was some kind of cover up. So I don't know if you had anything to. Obviously, it was well before our time, but I'm sure our parents absolutely loved Elvis Presley. But I don't know if you've had it. I'm not sure if you've had any thoughts or any theory on it, or do you think it was just he just woke up dead on the toilet, basically?
He woke up dead.
No, he was just not woke up dead. Sorry, he was found dead on the toilet. To say that would be a conspiracy theory if he woke up dead. He just found on the toilet, stumped. Basically, apparently, he was sitting there he found him just in the stationary position, not moving at all.
God, I knew about him dying on the loo. But not a big Elvis fan. Used to work with someone that was a massive Elvis fan. Not a big Elvis fan. I don't really know that much about him other than he used to give like cadlocks away and stuff like that as gifts to friends and stuff.
He was he was an interesting person. He died. People forget he died at 42. So he was still relatively young. Obviously, he was famous from pretty much most of his adult life. But the one thing I found interesting is like he used to turn up at the White House unannounced, and he used to dine and wine with the presidents. But I'm just thinking like anything else, loose lips sink ships. I think that's the saying. So you can imagine if you're sat there drinking wine, drinking beer, and then certain information says this is the reason why we invaded such and country, or this is the reason why World War II ended or began, or this is why this certain person was, killed or assassinated. Because it's the same story with Marilyn Monroe. She was meant to be the mistress of JFK, and that's one of the reasons why she was terminated. Obviously, it's all conspiracy or alleged.
Yeah.
But that's why he knew too much. He used to literally knock on the White House and just be allowed in. Not many people could do that, and that's why
I imagine security's changed a lot since them days.
Probably changed a lot, yeah. But
Yeah.
it was a global phenomenon. Everybody would have known who he was and stuff like that. So he would have had access to a lot of information. Can you imagine the amount of hotel rooms, lobbies, amount of high-profile people he would have known? Say the president on such and such a country, the prime minister of this country, the queen and king of that country. So they must have thought, you overheard a certain conversation. If you ever heard a certain conversation in such and such a country, let us know.
Yeah.
I'm obviously just
No,
thinking.
I was not aware that he had this relationship with presidents or anything. So yes, I'll have to probably look into that. Yeah, have a read up on it, mate.
Oh, that was an interesting one and stuff. I just found it because I talked about it this time last year, and some
Yeah.
people thought, yeah, he just died because he was heavily overweight and doing lots of drugs, doing lots of alcohol, and he just literally his heart was caving.
Yeah.
Other people say he knew too much and he was assassinated, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things I want to talk about. So, what about
Well,
yourself?
yeah, I've got a couple of others, but Marilyn Monroe, she was that was a drug overdose, wasn't it?
That do you know what? I don't know. I don't know how she was found dead. I'll have to research that. I know she was. Everybody, it's like the worst hidden secret is she was the mistress of JFK, and I know the deep state or the people who were running. I know people say the president runs the country, but it's other people who run the country weren't that happy with JFK. Why? Because he was a devout Roman Catholic and he thought he was getting his influences and his orders from the Vatican, and that's
Yeah.
why. And obviously, there's other stories into that as well. But yeah, the Marilyn Monroe was she was later found dead as well. I don't know how she was
Yeah.
found dead. That yeah, I'll have to look into that.
And then obviously JFK was obviously assassinated. That was not a secret, was it?
Well, that's not a secret. That was it. That was literally daylight. Literally daylight. That was
Mm,
in daylight. So, but we'll have to. Obviously, that's a different conversation. You could do a whole podcast on that. But that's
yeah,
an
yeah.
issue. What happened on that
Cool.
one? But no, but I found that really interesting. The Elvis Presley one.
Yeah, yeah. I'll have to look into it. I don't know if anyone else on the chat room knows anything. Just want to say hi to Mr. Paris. He says evening both. Bobby Shafter, evening all. Here we go. Bobby Shafter. She was discovered lying nude on her bed, face down, with a telephone in one hand. Ooh.
Sounds like a
So,
scene from
yeah,
Usual Suspects. It sounds like a scene from Seven. That.
yeah, yeah. Death by naked phone call, apparently. So yeah, don't call anyone while you've got no clothes on. Is the message I take from that.
That's it. Cheers, is it Bobby Shafter? Cheers, mate.
Cool, man.
But
Yeah,
what is it you want to chat about, Andy?
me. Yeah, okay, I've got one. Let's get rid of Elvis's photo. Uh, Another recent UFO. So, you know about Comet Neowise?
Yes.
Did you get to see it? I didn't get to see it.
No,
Every time it was like, go on.
where I live, it's not. You can't, I suffer from
Oh
light
yeah,
pollution. City
yeah,
centre
it's
of
too bad.
Manchester, it's just it's just like can't see anything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's quite bad. I'm a little bit better here, but I think yeah, I would probably have to go somewhere to try and view it because it was quite low on the horizon. So if you're in a town or anything, it's quite difficult. And also, typical English weather. Whenever it was like this is the best night to see it on, or this week. In fact, I think it was that same week I went camping when I had the redder face on one of the previous
Yeah,
live streams. Um, it was supposed to be really good for spotting it then, and again, first lovely glorious day, sunshine. Clouds came over and that was it. We didn't see sunshine again. It just started raining. So yeah, I never got to see it. So this photo I've got over here. So
I'm
yeah,
looking
that
down
way.
there. Yeah,
No, that way. That way.
no, I'm looking that way.
Yeah, yeah, the way you're looking as well. So that's apparently that is a UFO. So that's a picture of Comet Neowise, and that's a UFO that was taken. Did I capture where the guy was? The guy was in Taiwan. Um, so I've just got a bit of text. So UFO hunters claim to have spotted an unidentified alien object while photographing the flyby of Comet Neowise. Unidentified flying object was photographed over Taiwan and shows a fuzzy red light below the tail of the comet. The self-titled UFO expert Scott C. Waring, that name really rings a bell with me. So apparently the guy that took the photo is some sort of mate with Scott or posted it to his website or something. Believes that the red light seen next to the comet is an alien UFO. Of course he does. Neowise is not a comet, Oh, here we go. So he even says that Neowise is not actually a comet, but it's an alien ship making its rounds to transport and patrol the alien territories. What do you think of that? I've got another picture of it actually blown up, and I think it's been inverted, so it's like
Did it come up on there live?
yeah, it'll come
It
up
doesn't.
it'll
Do
come
you
up
know
for you
what?
in a couple of seconds. Yeah,
The only problem I have with some of the word "U" in UFO stands for unidentified, and I always find it weird because that obviously you got that and it's pixelated. It doesn't. I don't know what that could be. I'm a believer of UFOs, but there's that I think it was that Bob Lazar said that 95, 96, 97, even 98, 99% can be explained or rationally explained.
yeah.
It's that 1 or 2% which can't be rationally explained. I don't think that falls into
Just
the
because
one.
it's not been explained yet doesn't mean that.
Exactly. But there is
Yeah,
crafts where you think, shit, what is that? What is that? And it's like I always find when people take pictures, it's always dodgy pixelation. And so with the quality of cameras they have now, they're always dodgy because I don't know if it's been manipulated or photoshopped or anything like that. Do I believe the guy's story? It just sounds like I've heard it before. I sound like you know. I sound like. I think
welcome to the good side, Carlos.
no, but I do. The thing is, what's that? This is the only thing. What won't say pisses me off, but there's sometimes you'll put like there'll be a really great story out there, and you think, okay, this is you've got me on the back foot. I've got no answer, and then another 10 stories come in, and it dilutes the great story.
Yeah,
It's like, and that's the problem where it's like if the news, if you spoke about, oh, today Andy and Carlos did a really good deed. They cleaned the local parks. They read to blind children. They did all this. It does. It doesn't sell papers. But it said that Andy and
yeah.
Carlos went on a shooting spree and killed 45 people. It sounds wow.
Oh, but
Let's read up about these guys. And that's the thing
we're
where
not going to
we
do any of what Carlos has just said.
no, we're not. Sorry, there's no analogy. Just analogy that was. But I'm just it's like they purposely put some of these stories in there to dilute some of the credible ones. I know we spoke on the last one. I think it was last Sunday. We spoke about the UFO and Pentagon, where I think the Pentagon probably are releasing stuff out there, drip feeding, but then
Yeah,
they'll put another 5 set, which may counteract it and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah.
But no, that's it's
The Pentagon announcement that I debunked, and the Pentagon actually had nothing to do with that.
no,
Right,
no, that's nothing to do. I understand that, but I'm just
yeah,
giving an example how they all meld together.
I was looking at this photograph, Carlos, and obviously I knew Comet Neowise was going to go past, and me and my brother out camping were going to have a look at it. And I've taken. We had one of these comet things we go through earlier in the year, and I got my GoPro out and I tinkered with the settings, and I even dug out my old digital camera, tinkered with the settings, and took some long exposure photos to try and get some shooting stars. Same principle photography applies to trying to photograph this comet. If you look at that, the silhouette of the mountains are quite dark. This was apparently in the morning, but he still would have had to take the picture when it was quite dark. But you can see it almost looks like it's just daylight. You can still see some of the stars.
Yeah,
The reason the sky is quite light blue is because that's a long exposure photograph. And it might only be 4, 5, 6 seconds to get that detail of that comet. I've seen other people on social media also photograph the comet, and they've had to use long exposure because literally when you saw it with the naked eye, it was not as clear as that, what you could see now.
you're playing
Um,
around with the photos and stuff
yeah,
like that.
so I think that those dots are some sort of aircraft of human origin, and that is it as it's slowly gone past in the sky and it's flashing lights. It's captured the flashes, but it's just blurred them all into one blob, as it would on a long exposure photograph. Because that's
Yeah,
exactly how it
that would
works.
make sense. That
Yeah, yeah. Because I think anything longer than about 10 seconds, you start to get a bit of star blur, star drift. So
yeah.
it's obviously not been a 10-second shot, that, because the stars look like stars, not like little dashes. But yeah, that was my thoughts when I looked at the photo again just earlier tonight. I went, oh yeah, that makes sense. Mr. Paris made a comment. about the Halebot comment. Sorry about these the comments, by the way, guys, because we are on slight delay with the live stream. We're about 15 seconds behind, so sometimes when you comment, I don't know what that in reference was to which one of us said what. Also, Mr. Paris says that who was the person we were just talking about died naked on the phone?
It was Marilyn
Monroe. Monroe, yeah. It was a barbiturate overdose. He says all the info I remember was from "Candle in the Wind" song, which has now obviously been made famous with the old Princess Diana as well, isn't it? Where and we've got another conspiracy there as well that we can deep dive into one day. So yeah,
somebody asked us about the Diana links as well.
Yeah. We had a really nice message just before we started the podcast. So yeah, that was great. Live stream. So yeah, that's me on Neowise and UFOs. That's the only UFO story I've got this week. Yeah, I think it's just something's gone past.
It could be easily explained on that. That you could easily explain on that one. Yeah, I won't say it's alien, that one.
Yeah. What about what he said about it not being a comet at all and it's an alien spaceship? What do you think to that? I mean, I just laughed at that.
You just got my reaction then. I'd laugh at that as well. It's like sometimes I do read people who are quite wacky and way out west and put interesting theories out. Even if the theories don't make sense, I'll still read it. But that is a fucking comet. it's a comet. Simple.
The reason it looks like that is because you've got ice particles flying off it as it warms up.
And the closer it gets to the sun, it starts melting away. It's a trail.
If that was a spaceship, you wouldn't see it.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
All right, cool.
But the other thing I was just going to talk. Obviously, I've got 2 or 3 things to talk about.
Yeah.
Today's podcast, I'm going to do sort of like historical events, and today I'll talk about the, especially close to me, being a Manchester lad, is the Peterloo massacre. It was 1819. It was actually the 16th of August, almost just over 200 years ago. And that was obviously, it was a big event. It was just after the Napoleonic Wars, I think 1815, correct me if I'm wrong, people. Obviously, the economy was on its ass in the United Kingdom, and this was all about reforming Parliament. And obviously, 60,000 people gathered in St. Peter's Square. If people don't know where St. Peter's Square is, in Manchester, it's where the Midland Hotel is and where the library is. Manchester, that's all that St. Peter's Square. And it's basically, I think 60,000 people gathered. I think 700-800 people were injured. About between 15 and 20 people were killed, and that changed the course of history. In terms
injured by what? Rioting.
Yeah, rioting. It's all about the economic fall and stuff like that. And I found it's interesting to talk about because we're talking about COVID now and the pandemic. How lots of companies are having to go under or be liquidated, or people are making lots of redundancies. And I've got a feeling for you. I'm not saying there'll be hopefully there's not another Peterloo massacre, but people might, because Debenhams are just about to make 14,000 people redundant. It's being liquidated. Could the people just say, listen, I've had enough of this? Because there's some people out there getting richer and richer, and some people are getting poorer and poorer to a point where they can't even put food on the table. So I just found that quite interesting, where this was about the economic, the fall. Obviously, England just been in a war with the Peterloo, after the Waterloo Wars. I just thought if you had any thoughts on that. Like, it's sort of like you find that history. The father used to always say to me, knowing your history, understanding the present, is the blueprint to your future. We keep repeating our history, but we should look at history and go, shit, that's what happened 200 years ago. We should really look into this and make sure it never happens again. I know it's what it's, but I just thought it'd be interesting because obviously we're from Manchester, we're northern lads, and I thought it happened in our city and it was a major event. I don't know if you see any similarities what's happening today's with the marches and protests we're happening around the world.
Well, yeah. I mean, even not today, even a few years ago when we had those riots in Manchester and London, brought about by gatherings organised via social media and stuff, Twitter and was it Twitter and
It was in Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that.
I was gonna say, was it WhatsApp or something as well? I can't remember if it was WhatsApp, but yeah, you don't really need much excuse to riot these days. But yeah, who knows what's gonna happen, how bad it's gonna get. Um, yeah, it's crazy. I didn't know about this St. Peter's. Obviously, I've been to St. Peter's Square. I'm not from um,
Manchester,
not from
yeah.
Manchester. Yeah, I'm not a Manchester lad exactly, but on the outskirts.
No,
I've
just
been
it's,
great.
it's, it's almost just over 201 years ago today. So I was just
Yeah.
finding it interesting. It's sort of like the same kind of message. People, the economic fall down, and people living in squalor, not living rights and parliamentary reform. I just found it quite interesting because I was looking at my historical timeline this time last year, or this time I was talking about this time 4 years ago, 5 years. I just found, this sounds very now. I mean, but this I was talking about 200 years ago, and now it's 200 years later. We seem to be having a lot of the same conversations and stuff now.
Yeah.
But it was
Well,
just more, like a thought, just like it's like we
yeah.
keep repeating ourselves.
History's cyclical, isn't it, as well, man?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the way we can organise much quicker these days, if there is another riot, it's going to be a lot worse than that, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It's so
yeah,
much. It's more violent now and more
yeah,
menacing and stuff like the riots are,
yeah,
and
yeah,
more, and there's more exposure on it as well.
yeah.
But no, well, did you have to obviously? Did you have any? There's a couple of things you want to pull me up on as well. You said you
Uh,
wanted to catch me off guard.
yeah.
I thought,
Well, I've got a question for you. If you need an energy boost, what would you do?
an
Whether it's
energy
like
boost.
whether you just woke up and you're tired, so you wake up, you know you got to go to work. If you want an energy boost, what's your go-to?
What I've done recently, I've had that before because I use a walk to work. It's like a 45-minute walk. And the other day I was struggling, I was cramping up. And I don't do coffees or energy bars. I do a traditional chocolate bar, like a Snicker.
All right.
Or, because my dad used to always, because I remember once watching my dad play basketball. My dad was a really good basketballer and he was playing in his 50s. So can you imagine playing with 20, 30-year-old guys when he's in his 50s? I remember at half time, people drinking water. My dad just went to his bag, got a chocolate bar out, and had a chocolate bar. And he just, it's like it gave him an extra boost. And
Yeah.
clearly it's the sugar. And that's where, so I learned from that watching my dad.
Do you remember that guy that was in the Atlantic and his boat turned over and he was stuck in it for like 3 days and he said the only thing he had to survive was one chocolate bar and he wrote to Mars and if if you give me £1 million, I'll say that the chocolate bar was a Mars bar. And they sort of just went, they went bugger off, sort of thing. You know, no chance. But no, so yes, you're not a coffee, not a Red Bull type
No.
of thing. So I've heard of one method you can do, and it's called bum sunning. Have you heard of that?
No, no. I don't bum something. No.
So there's a pixelated image coming up that
Yeah.
you'll see, but it's also known as perennium sunning as well. So apparently,
Okay.
uh, Instagram
I was asking what
influencer.
it was then.
I know Instagram influencer Megan. I don't know if that's supposed to be Megan, but it's Meagan.
I say
Shared a
Megan.
oh dear, Megan.
I always say Megan. I get told off for saying Megan.
Uh, Shared a post about the little known practice of perennium sunning. Uh, Apparently she uploaded this photo that's pixelated out. That's the picture on the left is her, and the picture on the right is it posted out. But apparently, she lies flat on her back outside, holds her legs in the air, and she gets some rays on the area where, according to the popular saying, the sun shouldn't shine. Um, and she does it for 5 minutes every morning, and it gives her this energy. But she says that she's been able to ditch coffee and she says that 30 seconds of the ritual is equivalent of a full day of sunlight. A full day of sun, the equivalent of a full day of sunlight with your clothes on. And but you should also do it between 7 and 9 a.m. So yeah, have you
If
ever
I
thought of
did
giving
that
that a
every
whirl?
morning and I left the curtains open, I'd be arrested. It's just, I don't know what she's doing. It's like she's doing a crab or something.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just laughing at Mr. Paris. His method's a cup of tea, a Mars bar, uh, and they used to always have one of them in the medical supplies when you went up on the mountain. Yeah, that and what's that? What's that one? That famous one from Kendall Milk Cake as well. They have them, don't they, now as well? Uh, and he's also a bit afraid to Google it. Commander Kremen, I could help. I could help her with that. Rub some cream on, etc. I think the idea is you do it without any sun cream. Saying that, there have been a number of casualties. Josh Brolin, the guy out of Avengers, movie star, Josh
Yes.
Brolin. Uh, he decided to give it a go. I'm just going to read it here. Said he said apparently he suffered nasty sunburns on his pucker hole. He said, "I tried this perineum sunning that I've been hearing about, and my suggestion is do not, in capitals, do it. As long as I did. My pucker hole is crazy burned. I'm icing and using aloe and burn creams because of the severity of the pain. I don't know who the fuck thought of this stupid shit, but fuck you nonetheless." That's all quote. That's all a quote from him. I just thought it was really funny. So yeah, so literally that the only reason I saw that popped up next to this Neowise article I was reading about this comic article. So yeah, it was quite funny, man. Yeah. So
Well,
yeah,
it's like loads of people during the lockdown. Loads of people being given advice of what's the best way to even talking about Elvis Presley, how to sit on the toilet because loads of people being constipated because they're eating more shit at home and they can't shit it out. It's the way you sit on the toilet. You're supposed to be like up straight, neat legs on some kind of stool, and it goes like otherwise everything stays inside. So it's like people giving tips on everything from how to
yeah, it's
breathe,
about
how to shit.
straightening that bottom bit isn't out, isn't it?
Yes, that's what they
Yeah,
say it is. Yeah,
yeah. It's why
most
these.
people.
Yeah, sometimes you still get them toilets in like Spain and Middle East countries and that where it's just like a hole in the floor and you have to squat. Apparently, it's healthier to do that. But yeah, anyway,
That's wicked. And
we're not here for medical advice.
no, no,
Don't try
so don't follow what we
don't
say.
try putting your bum in the sun or don't have an accident trying to squat on the edge of your toilet seat and don't slip in. That's all I can say. So cool,
Oh,
man.
I've got the third one I was wanted to bring up on, and this
Yeah,
is an interesting subject. Is it's happened same thing I think I've talked about 3 years ago, and it was the WoW subject. The 16th of August, the WoW signal, I should say. The WoW
yeah,
signal, the 16th of August, 1977, Ohio University. They got that massive, like shockwave, and it was literally, they called it because it was a pretty, pretty big message, and they called it the person, the engineer who found it, wrote "wow" next to it. That's how they coined the phrase, the "wow" signal.
yeah,
I read literature on it. They said the "wow" signal was a message, but we're just giving the sort of, how do I say it, the semi-skim version. So apparently that message is a lot longer, but we've only given people the small snippet. Is it say, I've told you, but I've not told you the full story. And that's a lot of conspiracy theories, a lot of UFO people, a lot of every people have also, yeah, that's real. It depends on how you interpret that message, the wow signal. I personally think it was a real message, or we sort of anticipated the message and we thought, yes, this is extraterrestrial. This is a message which is from a race or beings far superior than us, and we just need to watch and observe because that's the bit where people think. Because I think we spoke about this before on podcasts. If people knew about what are you laughing at?
So
Sorry, Dave.
I'm laughing at a comment in the chat.
It's like if people talk about these people out there which are far superior than us, that will scare people. Absolutely scare us. But I'm just saying, if you because obviously you talked about UFO before. What did you think? Have you known much about the wild signal?
Oh yeah, I heard about the wow signal in school.
Yeah, because
But
it's like
that
1977.
image I've
Yeah.
got up there, I've seen that hundreds of times. Sorry, what was that, Carlos?
No, I was just saying, yeah, I would have read it. I read about it in school, so it would have
Yeah,
been 90s, mid 90s. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. About it being a longer message and stuff. I'm not sure I believe in that. I think it was just a glitch. It wasn't it the wasn't it Jodrell Bank as well that picked this up?
Uh, no, it's Ohio University.
Oh, was it? I don't know. I thought it was Jodrell Bank. I don't know. Jodrell Bank's still a good example. You go to Jodrell Bank and I mean, the visitor centre has been redone and it's changed a lot over the last couple of years. But if I was to go back maybe 10 years, I mean, I've been a couple of times since, but when it was the old visitor centre. So, but even now, you go and it's turn your mobile phone off, turn your mobile phone off as you're driving up to the car park, and then inside they show that the all these different bandwidths of things like radios, taxi signals, remote control gadgets, your mobile phone, and they've basically just got them on this list. It's a bit like, it looks a bit like a timeline, year 0 here and year 3000 here, except it's all like megahertz. And they're showing you all the bands. This is where all the mobile phones are. This is where your radio is. This is where your hospital frequency is. This is where the police scanner is. And it's all spread across this band. And it's, there's not a lot of free gaps. And then you've got, I mean, there's not just one dish at Jodrell. There's loads. Obviously, it's famous for the big one. But yeah, they are all susceptible to all these radio gadgets and things interfering with it, basically. So yeah, it could have been anything. It could have been a flash from a supernova that did that. It still could have come from space. I don't know enough about the setup to comment really on
It's
how they
obviously
received it. But yeah,
because SETI got all over it, didn't they? SETI
yeah.
search for extraterrestrial intelligence. They were all over it as well. But it's the
Could it be
most famous signal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's the most famous. It's the first big thing, wasn't it? And but could it have been a satellite passing and things like that? I'm sure people have looked into this as well. But yeah, literally, no.
Obviously, I've read obviously what you
Yeah,
just said. It could be an exploding like a supernova. It could be
yeah,
another star formation. It could be many things. But the one I found quite interesting is when they spoke about the message was filtered. They've told you the message, but they've not given you the full fat version. And that's when I started reading them. It says that because there was a message written into it, but then they say that it was sort of like it was pulled back.
Well, there's literally only like 6 characters there, and then a couple of others they've circled. So it's a
Yeah,
very, very
because
short message.
they've put it there, but they could have like the one I sort of read about it. And then the message carried on and kept carrying on and stuff like that. So, well, like you said, could it have been doctored? Could it have been manipulated? Yeah, of course it could. But it's one of them. I just found that happened the 16th of August. I just thought it'd be interesting to
Yeah.
talk about it.
So, and did this happen the same year as Elvis died?
The day, yes, the day before.
Okay.
So Elvis,
So Elvis heard about this on the radio while he was
no,
standing
Elvis
over
died
the loo.
the day after. So
Yeah.
Elvis died.
Yeah.
The day
So
after.
by the time it's on the news, comes so oh, it was in America this anyway. So someone's reported it on the news. Elvis was listening to the radio while eating a cheeseburger while balancing on the loo, slips, falls. That's how he died.
Or the president of the United States could have told Elvis Presley, "You won't believe this fucking wow signal."
Maybe he went, "Oh Elvis, tomorrow we're gonna get this. We're gonna get this message. So don't be shocked when you hear about it." And when he heard the message, he went, "Oh my God, it was true." And that's what did it. It pushed him over the edge. Yeah, it's
So
dead easy to make
we're not linking
conspiracy
that link.
theories up, isn't it?
We're not linking that. So the wild signal. What's a message from Mr. Paris? Hold on there. Connection
Oh,
in 50. Wild signal. The die comet come in. Take Elvis home. Hey, see. So
oh
yeah.
yeah. Could have been. Yeah. So Mr. Paris, was
Could
he
be, yeah.
typing that as we were saying it? He probably was. Yeah, yeah. Could have been, mate. Cool.
But no, that's what I had on the 3 subjects I want to cover.
Yeah. I've got nothing. I've not no other big subjects, but I know we're only 35 minutes into the stream. But I've got an interesting black hole fact. So when you picture a black hole, you imagine it that it's just sucking everything in, and if you fly near it, it'll grab hold of you and it'll suck you in as well, and it's constantly just hoovering like a big vacuum cleaner. And black holes here,
Yeah.
and it sucked all this stuff in here that's around it.
It's
But
eating it up. Yeah.
yeah, but there might be some like other stars or something over here, and they're slowly moving towards it, and then they'll get sucked in when they get sucked.
If you get around the edge, you've got
Yeah,
like you sort of like rotate around the black hole. You never sort of get sucked in. It's only when
right.
you go into the event horizon where
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
that event
There's no
horizon
return.
is a point of no return. That's what you
Yeah,
get sucked
but
in.
you still imagine it. So even if you were circuit, you still imagine it that there's other debris that's slowly getting pulled in, don't you? You know,
Yeah, just
when you
slowly getting coming in.
but and that's how I used to imagine black holes. But apparently, um, for example, so say our sun.
Yeah.
At the moment, we've got how many planets are there now? I lose track of how many real planets and how many dwarf planets we have because my daughter's telling me, oh, we've got four
In our
dwarf
solar
planets
system,
now. Yeah, we've got four dwarf planets now, so keep track. But we started,
we've got eight.
we
Officially, we've got eight.
we've got
Eight
eight now. We used
planets.
to have nine. It's eight, but we've got eight. But there's also five dwarf planets or four dwarf planets or something. My daughter tells me, and she's only 7 from school.
Okay.
Anyway, so we've got all that going around the sun, right? And we've got these comets also going around the sun. So, but even these comets aren't. But we're not actually being pulled into the sun. Yeah, we're quite stable. We're
Yeah.
just completely going around it now. If our sun was to suddenly collapse and go into a black hole now, we wouldn't be near enough to start getting sucked into it. Even Mercury, the closest planet, wouldn't get sucked into it because a black hole has the same gravitational pull as the mass of the sun. It's just that it's a lot smaller, so that
Yes, it's more
no light
denser.
can get out. Yeah, yeah, it's denser, and because it's smaller, because it's the same mass is in that little tiny p, and that's why no light gets out. So that
Yeah.
means that the planets would just, obviously would freeze to death because there's no sun, but we would just keep going around as normal. We wouldn't actually get sucked into it. It's weird that. So
I know that
it's not like a big
it's actually
Hoover.
quite small. It's quite small. The black holes. It just we
Yeah,
paint it
yeah,
as a
yeah,
big drop, but they are quite small. They
yeah,
just eat
yeah.
everything. The one thing I did read up about black holes is we don't. The one thing we all in agreement is Einstein's theory ends when we hit a black hole. After that, our mathematics and knowledge disappears. So what happens past the event horizon or singularity point, we do not know. But people are obviously your scientists are paid to think and put
Mm.
theories out there or even guesstimate. They say that could be an entrance to another universe.
Yeah, it's a bit like that.
Did Interstellar did some of that, didn't they? Interstellar.
Yeah, and also I think Red Dwarf got there first, didn't they, with the White Hole episode that they did,
Okay.
and
I
Lister
never
played
watched Red Dwarf, so I
Phil.
can't comment.
Oh, you've never watched Red Dwarf, Carlos?
Never watched it, yeah.
Oh, I'm disappointed. I'm gonna have to put you a notch down on my friends list now. Oh yeah, it's classic. Yeah, no, yeah, they did it, but yeah, and even Neil deGrasse Tyson will spout that some scientists believe that yeah, all that whatever mass is going in is coming out somewhere else. But I don't know. I don't know.
It's got to go somewhere, hasn't it? It has to go somewhere.
Is it not just compacting into this tiny little pea thing and just?
Well, it's devouring planets, it's devouring stars,
It's
and it's
not
just
though, is it? It's only devouring stuff that's already in its gravitational pull. Like
no,
that was my whole thing. It's not a big Hoover. Like I said, if we replaced the sun with a black hole, or our sun suddenly went to a black hole, we would still carry on going around it. We wouldn't suddenly fall into it because it's got the same gravitational pull as our sun has
no,
got.
that I understand that, but when it does devour a sun or a star, that material has gone somewhere. The material. When
I don't know.
it's when it's actually say if it's sucked in a star, a neighboring star into its vortex, and it
Yeah,
devours it. That material has to go somewhere. Yeah, it may take it billions of years to devour it, but it's devoured it.
I think it would be the same as if you had two suns and they were on a collision path over millions of years, but they would just hit each other and I don't know what would happen. Either massive explosion or whatever, or they'd merge into one star. Who knows what would happen? But one of them has suddenly gone beep, and it's a tiny little pea black hole. It's still on the same trajectory and it'll still pull it in because that's the way they were heading anyway. I guess I don't know what would happen. I guess it depends which one's the bigger mass. I don't know. Who knows?
No, it's that
We need Brian
we
Cox
need
on here
focus on
to
it.
tell us. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, it's just
I'm sure we've
black
got
holes. Is that
some. I'm sure we've got some physicists on the chat. They can tell us.
no? It's one of the things where the black holes. It's just I find it interesting or it is interesting. It's like our mathematics, everything we know, study ends there. It's just, it's like before the Big Bang. People have got theories, but what ignited the Big Bang? So
Yeah.
it's like we think it's multiverses or it was just something from nothing. So it's an interesting, it's one of them interesting subjects where we'll probably know in some point, but at the moment we just absolutely don't know anything about it. I
God,
hope,
I don't think we'll ever find
if
out.
no, we have to find out. We will find out because we'll be able to send probes down there soon.
But it takes
Not in our
so
lifetime though.
takes so long to even just get there, Carlos. I think any sort of experimenting with galactic scale black holes or even other stars, I don't think that's ever going to happen. To be honest,
Not in our lifetime.
I personally don't think humans will get to a planet that's not in our solar system, outside of our solar system, because I don't think we'll ever create technology. I don't think it's possible to create technology to get even half light speed, never mind near light speed.
Well,
You talk about
obviously,
wormholes and stuff like that, but I think that's a pipe dream. How are you going to create wormholes?
I think the technology is there, but obviously it's not being used. Because I remember speaking to a friend of mine, and he works in the military when he left, and he was telling me things like the military could be 30, 40, 50 years ahead of us of what we know is out there. And he says maybe even further ahead of us. So that could be hundreds of years in advance. I remember speaking to a person who worked for Nokia. He says all telecommunications companies are roughly 20 years ahead of where, so they know what we're going to be using in 2040, 2050. They
So
have to give an
they're on
idea.
like 6G, 7G.
No, they've got an idea of what the people are going to be using in 15,
Yeah,
20 years because you have to be ahead of the game. Otherwise, you'll be called HMV, Woolworths, Debenhams, Blockbusters. You'd be called them companies who just don't
yeah,
see the future and they get left behind. That's why people criticize people at Amazon, but they see they're ahead of the game. They're seeing the curve and they're predicting people's buying patterns and stuff like that.
yeah.
Google are doing the same thing. They're all doing it.
Talking to
But
Google,
no,
Jonesy in
what's
the
that?
chat says, talking to Google, Jonesy in the chat says, Google the Great Attractor. That's some scary stuff. Yeah, they're the next black hole. They're going to get that big. They'll become a black hole on the planet Earth. We'll all get sucked in. They already know everything we do, don't they?
Oh yeah, it's
So,
called real time marketing. They know everything on that stuff.
yeah.
It is quite scary how what they know about. They know too much about you. But then again, it's just the it'll be a little bit like Minority Report. Do you remember that when they talked about they'll
Mm,
see what you're going to be doing as a future. Say this person potentially could be a bad person. Let's prevent it. And it's a question. I think in the future, these social media people will start thinking this person potentially could be a bad person or it could be a good person. And that's the question you ask yourself, are you born evil or do you become evil? I think social media will pick up on that because Facebook have an algorithm when they know when couples are going about to break up. They know what kind of literature they're using, what kind of people websites they're visiting, what kind of how they write, how they spell. Google have got some algorithm. They know when, so they start targeting with dating sites or X, Y, Z, and that's they're already predicting. So they're not even split up yet, but Facebook actually knows when couples are going through a bad time, and that
uh,
people these social medias can predict this person's saying such and such a literature. These are the kind of things he gets up to in his spare time. He potentially could become a bad person. Well, that's wrong because that's just because what you read and what you do are totally different to what you actually portray yourself. And
yeah,
that's with that, it ties into that. Obviously, Google the attractor. But I'll have
yeah.
to Google that. I don't know what.
Actually, yeah. Talk. Just going back to that. Nick, our co-host, who's not on the live stream, but he is watching. He's messaged me. I've read Jonesy's comment wrong. He's saying to Google the Great Attractor. So yeah, I've no idea what that is, Jonesy. But yes, I will Google the Great Attractor. See what that is.
Well done.
And yeah, I think Nick's aware of it. Maybe we'll ask Nick on the podcast.
On the audio one. 'Cause
Yeah,
obviously, the thing is quite. It's about 2 3 minutes behind, so we're catching the messages from later on. That's all.
yeah. That's true. That's true. Um, Cool, man. Do you have anything else? I've got a couple of questions I could ask you. Does anyone in the chat want to ask us any questions while I'm just looking for a question for Carlos? I've got one here, Carlos, right?
Was it?
I'm not sure if I've got an answer to this. Maybe I have. What lie did your parents ever tell you and you didn't realize it was a lie until you were an adult? And I keep looking down at you, Carlos, instead of looking at the live stream. What
Lie?
lies did your parents tell you and you didn't realize you were an adult?
That's a fucking good one.
It's a good one. I've got two examples while you're having a think.
Go
First
on, give
one.
me the. Yeah.
First
Well,
one.
Santa Claus is obvious, but that's too obvious. That one.
Oh, yeah, no,
That's
no.
too obvious. That
I'll
one.
give you an example. I remember the first time I had trifle as dessert because it was like, well, what is that? Because trifle looks weird, doesn't it? Yeah. When you get a bowl of it, there's like jelly, there's something under the jelly, then you've got cream and you've got
Yeah.
like sprinkles on the top or whatever. I don't know what else. I was like, oh, that looks a bit weird. And then have some, Andrew, have some. So they give me some, and I'm like, oh, it's quite nice that because I'm not a jelly fan. I think that's why I was a bit thinking of it. And oh, Mum, can I have some more? Yeah, some more. Well, that was really nice because I never had it. Can I have some more? And they went, oh, you can't have too much. Trifle makes you deaf. Because have you heard the saying? So years go past, and I'm round my mates for tea, and they say some. I think they say something about trifle, and I go, "Oh, trifle makes you deaf." And he goes, "No, it doesn't. My mum's a nurse. Trifle doesn't make you deaf." I'm going, "Trifle does make you deaf. My mum told me so." Gets his mum in. Mum, does trifle make you deaf? Yeah, so I looked a bit of a silly boy.
So
So
no,
that's
I
one.
just think no, that's no, because I remember Dad used to say to me, never eat once
Shredded
you've had
wheat.
like pork, never eat once you've had pork, never have ice cream. It will send your stomachs into spasms or something like that. And he said so because he said when he was a
But
kid,
is
he
that
had
true?
I don't know. He said when he was a kid, he had pork and he had ice cream, and it knocked him sick and everything. So I don't know if that's true or not. I've never had if I have pork, I never have ice cream the day after,
Oh,
but as a
really?
dessert.
Oh, you got to give
But
it 24 hours, have you?
no. In terms of no, my mum and dad were always sort of like they used to tell me about everything, apart from
Oh,
the obvious ones, Father
yeah,
Christmas, Tooth Fairy, and all that kind of stuff. But
yeah,
no, it's my dad was
I,
quite. My mum and dad are totally chalk and cheese. My mum was very devout Roman Catholic, and so was my dad. But my dad was very scientific kind of guy, a man of science. So I bet he contradicted himself a lot of the times because a man of faith and a man of science, because sometimes them two worlds never marry up. And
yeah.
obviously, he used to tell me stories about the universe and X, Y, Z, and then we'll go to mass as a family on a Sunday, and I think that doesn't make sense. All this, you know, what I mean, it's just your mind is just flicking. Well, that's what makes it interesting. You know what I mean? This the way we brought up, the way our parents bring us
Yeah.
up, and the literature you read in school and stuff like that. But it's a good question now. I know, but no, I don't. I don't have anything now.
I've got another example, but I'll read some from the comments first. So if you eat the crust of your bread, it'll make your hair curly. That was from Bobby Shafter. Remember, Mr. Paris says, remember my mum used to always say, don't swallow your chewing gum, it'll give you worms. Oh, I heard that one, but I heard it would grow a tree in your stomach. Some kids used to say it would grow a tree. Oh, that was weird.
Oh, we
Uh,
do. My mum used to do all like suspicious stuff. Never put your shoes on the table, things like that. That
because
was
that's
that
just
was
bad luck. That's just bad luck type of
yeah,
thing,
bad
isn't
luck.
it? Yeah,
Just
yeah,
never put your shoes on the table.
yeah. You know,
Uh,
you can just get some funny ones sometimes. I've got a little story. It's about 5 minutes long, but my grandma is from Spain. Was from Spain. She's dead now. Bless her
¿Tú
soul.
hablas español?
Yeah.
¿Tú hablas español poquito? ¿Tú hablas español poquito?
I only know swear words, Carlos.
I'll just say, do you know Spanish a little bit?
No, yeah, oh yes,
With a name
swear
like
words,
Carlos, yeah, I can speak Spanish.
swear words, just the swear words, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you'd be able to chat with my gran if she was still around. But she came from very poor little town. You know, proper old-fashioned, being brung up, and you know, you caught your food, you killed it, you prepared it, you ate it, sort of thing. Anyway, as kids, don't know why, but we got chickens as kids. We had a chicken coop in the corner of the garden, and we had about 6, 7 chickens, something like that. And my chicken got fertilized. It laid a couple of eggs, and we had 2 little baby chicks, and we had a cockerel. And anyway, cockerel grows up as it does, starts cockadoodle doing in the morning. It was upsetting the neighbours. I come home from school, and my mum says, Andrew, your cockerel, it's gone to live on a farm because it was waking the neighbours up. So I was a little bit sad. I was like, okay, it's gone to live on a farm. You already know where it's going because I've told you about my group. So for years later, never thought anything of it. I was like, fair enough. I was waking up. I still had my other chickens. They were all right. And then years later, you know, when you start going out, you're out on your bikes. Don't really happen nowadays because, you know, everywhere's so frigging dangerous to let kids go. But started going out on my bikes with my mates and my brother. And like, oh, there's a farm over there. I wonder if that's where my chicken went. And riding around another bit of the, oh, there's a farm over there. I wonder if that's where my chicken went. So I go home and I went, Mum, which chicken did which farm did my chicken go to? She's, what are you talking about? You know, I came home from school. You told me my cockerel had gone to live on a farm because he's waking the neighbours. She went, no, he didn't. We had it for Sunday dinner. Why do you think your gran was round? I was like, what? So she'd forgotten. She told me that lie.
She forgot, yeah.
Yeah. So I ate my own chicken.
That's a lesson to everyone listening or watching. That's an old Mossad saying. If you're a good liar, you have to have a good memory. If you're a good liar, you need to remember. It's an old Mossad saying. Because what their agents, I read a book on Mossad agents. They'll ask you a question, then they'll ask you the same question a week later, a month later, a year later. It's just if the truth is the truth. I had a kind of Pepsi, I had a kind of lemonade. But if I say, oh, I had a cocktail with chips and some olives, I might not remember that in 10 years. You know what I mean? But that's an old Mossad saying, just in case people are listening and watching.
Interesting, man. Interesting. Just have a quick scan of the comments because Nick keeps pinging me on my phone. Nick, if you want to be our chat admin, do it in the chat. I can read it.
I've got about 3 or 4 screens. I've got about 3 or 4 screens there at once.
I know, it's terrible. That's why I keep looking down because that's where our live stream is. But then, well, our live stream that everyone's watching is here, but me and you chatting is there, and we're.
I've got my iPad here. I've got my smartphone here. I've got all these messages coming up on there. I'm trying to keep on top of it.
But Jonesy does actually. He's telling us actually. So the Great Attractor, it's a region of space that's pulling in galaxies, including ours, and no one knows what it is. So yeah, I hadn't heard of that. So there's
could that know something for Jonesy? Thanks for that. Could that know something to do with sort of dark energy or dark matter? Because dark energy is splitting us apart. Dark energy is pulling us apart. Dark matter is holding us all together. I wonder if that. I'm definitely going to be reading up on that. So thanks for that.
Yeah, Jonesy. But I know that we've got Andromeda, which is our closest other galaxy.
Yeah.
And then sorry, go on.
Do you know how far away it is from us?
I think it's about. It's either 4.5 billion or 14 billion.
No, it's 2.5 million light years away.
2.5 million.
Million light years away.
Is it? I thought I heard Brian Cox talking about it.
That's why it's neighbouring. It's so close, as in 2.5 million light years. That's closer. That's next door. So if you're traveling the speed of light, it'll take you 2.5 million years to get there. All
right, I thought it was further than that, but I mean, maybe it's right. Well, the reason I'm thinking of that is Brian Cox apparently was once asked on one of his shows or one of the radio panels whether something about what had happened when Andromeda and the Milky Way collide. And he was like, well, actually, let me just work out because we might not even be around because the sun might blow up before then, so we won't be around anyway.
No,
and it was pretty close.
He said there'd be no collisions between planets because of space, but the problem is you may be flung out because it'll turn into a spiral. and you could be flung out.
Yeah, he did say that, but before he answered the question, I remember him saying about the well, actually, we might not even be around because the sun might not even exist by then.
Well, because the sun's got another 5 billion years in it. We might not be around because we might have destroyed ourselves by then. Obviously,
No, the sun,
2.5 billion.
the sun's got a lifespan on it. It's
It's got another 5 billion years of energy left. Roughly,
is it? Yeah,
it's
I think that's what he said. That's yeah, about 5 bill.
it'll engulf us. But no, that's
Yeah,
I've enjoyed that. It's the
yeah.
what's the
Well, that was good timing because Carlos has just frozen, so he's gone. Right, I'm going to say bye from both of us then. I don't know what he was going to say. Oh, are you back? Are you coming back? I can't really hear you, Carlos. So try to say goodbye.
plus according to exercise.
I don't know what he's doing. Oh, he was just. You're back now, Carlos. You're back.
Hello, lost. You see me? I can see. I can see myself. I can't see you.
All right,
I
no
don't do
worries.
anything. Was that you or me?
I don't know.
Was that you or me?
I think it's just. I think it's the CIA trying to cut us off, mate. So.
You know what?
So
I told you, it's CIA, FBI,
I know.
So
I
I've
know.
gone CG. You can't see me now on that one.
No,
Do you
I
see
know.
me now?
I know. Yeah, you're back. You're back. So, but yeah, well, we'll wrap it up anyway, mate. So yeah, say goodbye.
Before the CIA.
Right. All right. I think that was Carlos saying goodbye. I don't know. Don't forget
I'm
to
still here, don't
follow
worry.
us. Don't forget to follow us for future notifications. Stay safe and peace, love, and Randy. See ya.